What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another not VOD review. Today is actually a patch rundown. Patch 13.3 coming out tomorrow. They are using this new pattern because, yeah, last patch was, what, 14.24? So we're going back from 14 to 13. But hey, you know, it's set 13, patch 3. So, I mean, it's a lot easier to understand. And a lot of good stuff in this patch, honestly. I'm overall quite pleased. A few things that I'm a little like, why did this get changed in this way that we will certainly yap about, but let's hop right into it. All right, first couple of changes that I think are fantastic. Stage 3 carousel will always have one of each component, unless the carousel contains spatulas, frying pans. Great. Like, you could really high roll and get like a double tier carousel when you need it, or you could really low roll. So I think this is a perfect change. And then I like this as well. Opening counter sped up slightly to get the game started quicker, because yeah, I mean, it does take a little while for that little like thingy to zoom out. All right, on to traits. Let me move my head down still. I'll move it down here until we get to the champions. Artillerist, 6-piece attacks per proc. I think this is a bit overkill. 6 Artillerist is quite good. Look at Mort, he's saying, no, it's not overkill. But 6 Artillerist is already quite strong. I don't know why it actually needs to be further buffed. It's on the same level as stuff like 6 Academy, which I think a lot of people rate quite highly. So I don't actually know why this is receiving such a buff, but all right. Automata, big nerf, I do think is very necessary. I think anyone would agree with it. And I like that they're giving it a little bit more damage. Chem Baron's another one where I think Chem Baron is so swingy, where if there is a huge Chem Baron cash out, it just feels impossible to beat. So I think they're doing that thing that they do now where they've fully acknowledged this. By the way, Mort has admitted this, that they just swing too hard on something that is like they feel is unfun to play against or like too strong. So they're going to kind of like take Chem Barons basically out of the meta completely and then bring it back in slowly, like next patch. I don't love it because I think Chem Baron, it's very swingy. It's very, I think there are a lot of people out there who are like, Chem Baron kind of ruins the game. And a crazy Chem Baron cash out does win the game, but there are also so many ways to counteract it. This is something that I pulled up after Soju tweeted, and he was like, Chem Baron, you just win the game for free. But I just went into TFT VOD library, looked up Chem Baron emblem, and like, look at this, Kyun bot 4, Relic bot 4, AK Wonder bot 4, Blackfire Ice bot 4. And then, you know, obviously some firsts as well in there. A lot of firsts and a lot of bot 4s is what I see in this list, not just people top 4ing every game. It's Dish Soap bot 4, Kyun bot 4, Dish Soap random top 4. Like, it doesn't, to me, look like these are that strong. You know, obviously there are games where people just completely run away with it, but I think people who are saying you just win the game for free, it's pretty disingenuous, and so I don't actually agree with this nerf either. Scrap buff I do like a lot, just a little bitty buff to the shield duration to make it so your Corkis and stuff can live in the back line longer. I think this makes perfect sense. 6 scrap. You know, the scrap Corki comp was really good early on in the set and then has kind of fell off since, and so I think a nice light buff to that is perfect. And then the 9 buff. Really? Did 9 scrap need that much of a buff? I mean, I don't know what it, let's see, we're gonna go to stats. I always keep looking at trends, stats, traits and trends. Where's 9 scrap? I mean, it is the worst 9 trait by far. It's a lot worse than 9 conk. Okay, little buff for 9 scrap, sure, why not? And then Sork buffs, these are actually pretty considerable Sork buffs. 4 Sork, 5, 6 Sork is 10, and then 8 Sork is plus 40, my god. I do like that they're buffing Sork, because I would love for 6 sorcerers to be a comp. There's inbuilt tanks. I love playing the vertical sorcerer trait. It always feels so fun. And so I feel a bit sad that, you know, you can't play like 6 sorcerer Zoe and like you know, frontline your Vladimir and your Swain and feel happy about that. Is this enough to make 6 Sork a comp? Maybe is my answer. It's plus 10. That's pretty significant. You know, from 95 to 105 is a lot. So I could see this actually making 6 Sork, not like S tier, but playable tier, and then maybe like bringing Sork emblem up a little bit. If you can get to 8 Sork, it actually looks like a potential like win condition now, which certainly wasn't before this. So I'm hyped. I'm hyped to play some vertical sorcerer actually after this. All right. This is 1 of 2. Okay, large 2 of 2. And this is all the Chem Baron items that they're nerfing again. Like I said, I think they went too hard on this, but what can you say? I'm not going to go through every single one. All right, on to the 1 costs here. Let me move myself up here so I'm not covering up anything. Powder buffs at 1 and 2 star. Chef's kiss. This unit stinks at 1 and 2 star, but 3 star powder is actually quite strong. So I think this is perfect. Singe nerf, he's paying for a little bit of the sins of Renata. Renata got nerfed as well. I really don't feel like Singed as his own standalone unit is that broken. I would have been fine actually probably leaving Singed 1 and 2 similar. Like, my thought is they probably should have just gone harder on Renata, and I'll talk about that in Renata's section, but I don't really think Singed, outside of the Renata comp, is actually overperforming that much, so I'm kind of sad that Singed is getting hit. Steb and Trundle buffs are actually pretty interesting, buffing up this Bruiser opener a lot. My prediction for the patch, as far as like a really, really strong comp that people are potentially sleeping on, we'll see, is Enforcer. The Steb Trundle Maddie opener is getting Giga buffed in Steb and Trundle. Camilla's getting buffed, and Loris and TF are getting buffed. That's a lot of buffs for this comp. So that is my pick for something that will overperform tomorrow, and that might actually get like, probably won't get hotfix, but I mean, you're going to see a lot of 6 Enforcers, my prediction. And a Zyra buff as well. On top of the Sork buff, pretty nice. I think actually a really good way, like I think Zyra needs to be buffed. She's probably the worst one-cost carry. I think a really nice way they could have counteracted this buff is by nerfing the most broken one-cost in the game, named Lux. I'm not really sure how this unit escaped nerfs again. I don't understand. I don't understand. She got one small nerf in that her hero augment got removed from the game, Lone Hero. But I don't know. I'm kind of baffled that Lux is not hit here. And like, yeah, I think she's just been not silently overperforming. She's been like just loudly overperforming for the entire set almost at this point. Camille buffs, I think, is great. Riot, like I said, has this kind of new philosophy where they'll like over nerf something, and Camille was definitely a victim of that. So I think the rebuff of Camille is really, really nice here. Leona buff as well. I love this. Leona feels quite underwhelming as a tank. And it's also like, this is not a buff that really makes her that much like tankier at the start. It really just plays for her like ability to tank, like get multiple casts off and be like a real tank at 2-star, you know, getting multiple casts off with items. So I think this is fantastic. But yeah, the Renata nerf here, I mean, they're hitting her spell shielding a good bit, which I think is correct. I just would have rather seen a Renata damage nerf as well, and then get rid of the Singed nerf, just because I do think Renata is doing way too much damage in this comp. You know, watch my game that I played in tournament where I lost with a Vi 3, not Violet 3, Vi 3 to a Renata comp because the Renata 2-shot my Vi. You know, with Malzahar as well, it was 6 Visionary. Let me move my mic real quick, by the way. Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to center myself. But yeah, I think this Renata unit's doing too much damage, and I would have preferred to see a nerf there. Zeri buff, fine. I don't really care. And then Ziggs nerf, absolutely necessary. We've done so many VODs on people just fast nining with stuff like Ziggs. And so a perfect nerf, actually, 135 to 120. I love this. Okay, 3-cost buffs, some good ones. Okay, so the ones I mean, actually, no. These are all good. I'm happy with all of these. Cassiopeia feels really underwhelming. Like, there's no, like, Cassiopeia 3 comp that people are playing around. An attack speed buff on her, I think, is perfect. GP, as well, melee form. No one's excited to play melee form GP. I think this is great. Loris does not feel like a real tank, and so a shield buff is great on him. Smeech, an underwhelming carry, so I think a buff on him is good. And TF as well, an underwhelming carry, so I think a buff on him is great. My problem is we are buffing Steb, we're buffing Loris, we're buffing Camille, and we're buffing Twisted Fate. Like I said, 4 buffs for the Enforcer comp. I think we could have just nerfed like 6 and 8 Enforcer a little bit if we were going to do all this. Like I said, I expect that comp to overperform. So I would have just like, I think the units are exactly where they need to be with these buffs. I just think 6 Enforcer is probably going to overperform. But, you know, I've been wrong. I've been wrong in the past. Echo buff here. That's a Camille buff and an Echo buff. So I think Tidal actually said he's really excited to try out Ambushers tomorrow. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Very, very solid buffs. And a Smeech buff as well. Triple buff there. I don't... do I really... I guess, sure. Small Echo buff. I think it's fine. I'm not 100% sure he needs it. I do know that Twitch needed this buff, though. It's a small buff as well. Not going to increase his damage ability that much, but just going to get him to his casts faster and get him to repeat casts faster. I like this. Twitch definitely felt a bit underwhelming. And then a small Elise buff to her, just her ranged form, I think is perfect. Ranged Elise definitely feels underwhelming. So I like that. 5 costs. So this Jace change, people realize that You know, the way Jace's ability reads, it reads, if the Hexgate is alive, it casts. If it's dead, summon it. But what it doesn't say is that if it's dead, it summons it, and then it casts. So now if you want your Hexgate to cast, you have to keep it from dying. This means that, you know, maybe you put it in the middle of your board with melee Jace, maybe you put it in your backline if you really want that attack speed. There will still be situations where you are frontlining the Hexgate just because spawning a unit in that died is really, really good. Really good if you're against like melee carries like Violet that you just want to waste a bunch of time for. So I fully expect that to still happen sometimes, but it will be more niche. And I think that's good. It makes the positioning more dynamic. Speaking of Jace, melee form buffs, they buffed him melee form last patch as well, I'm pretty sure, and I think this is all moving in the right direction. I think this might be perfect for Jace damage because he's already doing decent work, and so another buff I think will put him perfect. LeBlanc attack speed buff, I don't mind LeBlanc as utility and just getting her ability off, and attack speed leans her even more towards that. I actually probably would have preferred to see them buff LeBlanc's damage because that's the issue with this unit is you hit a LeBlanc 2 and you're not even that excited to itemize her over like Dominators in a Dominators comp because she doesn't do that much damage. And obviously Dominators are Dominators and LeBlanc's a LeBlanc, but still, you should be excited to itemize a 2-star LeBlanc. And Malzahar as well, a unit that once again paid for the sins of early Malzahar. Early Malzahar, like first patch of the set was disgusting. So they nerfed him way too hard, and now they're bringing him up a bit, which I love. You know, Malzahar is a really fun unit. I'm excited for a little bit more Malzahar buffs. So yeah. Let's move into 6 costs. So Mel and Warwick, kind of interesting. Mel is a hair weaker than Victor. I don't think she actually really needed this buff at all. She's at 3.07. I know that because I've already recorded this video once, by the way, but I realized I muted my mic 18 minutes into the video. So yeah, just a little movie magic there for you guys. I'll release the muted cut someday, and you guys can just try to read my lips for the entire review. But 3.07 is what she does right now, Diamond Plus, according to Tax and Tools. I think that's a fine spot for a 6 cost to be. I think this puts her in like the 2.95 range. Victor's like a 2.90 flat. And then Warwick's the worst of all. I think he was 3.23 when I was looking at the stats earlier. So I think a sizable buff here. Also a buff to his experiment bonus I think is really needed. His experiment bonus, it plays pretty underwhelmingly, right? Because if you kill a unit and there's nothing by it, you get nothing out of it. You have to get a kill to get the stun as well. It feels pretty underwhelming, so I just think that a buff to it is absolutely necessary to make it actually, you know, exciting to play. All right, items here. There's some weird item changes here. Deathblade, necessary to buff, I would say. Even Shroud, I'm also down for this little buff that they give it, just because Even Shroud's pretty underwhelming this set. There's no carry this set that really needs Even Shroud. Last set, we had like Varus, who really needed Even Shroud because he did a lot of burst damage. His first instance of damage was often a lot on a unit. And you really want Even Shroud versus that because Last Whisper only applies after your first instance of damage. It's not really an issue this set because Corki goes pew, 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 pew. So the first pew or the first auto applies LW and then the pew, 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 pews all get it. Twitch as well. He's autoing so many times and hitting so many units that Last Whisper is quite good on him. So there's not really an amazing unit that needs Even Shroud this set. So I think a small buff to that is reasonable. On its AP counterpart though, Ionic Spark, not sure why Spark needs a buff. Spark seems perfectly fine to me. So maybe there's something in the data that says that, but I don't really agree with this. Renan's buff I do think is quite reasonable. It's quite a niche item. There's no broken Renan soldier this set. It's pretty decent to like artillerists with the idea that they're going to get a bunch of AD and scale up the bolt damage. But yeah, I think this is quite reasonable. And then the artifacts. So Fishbones and RFC hit. I think this is fine. I mean, I think this is good, but it's not too hard of a hit. Like, I don't think, you know, don't think Nocturne's unplayable because of this. You're still going to see RFC Nocturnes do work. It's only, you know, that is not that hard of a nerf. Gambler's Blade, I think, really good nerf as well. This one has just overperformed so much from Shimmer. And they hit the Collector as well from the Shimmer Augment. I'm surprised they hit both of these. If they are hitting both of these, I actually would have liked to see them buff up Mogul's Mail a bit, just because Mogul's Mail feels really underwhelming right now. I think if you look at the stats, it's the worst Ornn artifact. Okay, it's actually second worst to Innervating Locket, but this is like, honestly, Innervating Locket is probably pulled down by all the people trying the Cogpaw tech, which is kind of hilarious. But I think this is probably like objectively the worst. I mean, maybe not objectively, but objectively the worst or an artifact in the game, and so I'd like to see it get buffed a little bit. Silvermere Dawn, a bit of a nerf here. I don't know why they nerfed this as well. Just once again, perusing the stats. I was looking at this in the video that I didn't record, but like you have to scroll pretty far to find Silvermere here. It's all the way down here. I think they're afraid of buffing Camille and leaving this buffed, but like I don't think it would have been that bad, but you know, maybe I'm crazy. And then the last one, huge one here, Suspicious Trenchcoat. First, the break apart point going from 50 to 66% means that you're not going to get your free Edge of Night proc and then Trenchcoat proc, or Sterak's proc and then Trenchcoat proc. Trenchcoat's going to proc before either of those, which is a really big nerf. You're still going to get all of those procs on the mini-me's, so Edge of Night and Sterak's still quite good, but not as good. And the clone HP going down to 25% from 30%. So big nerf for a big item. I think this is pretty perfect, honestly, on the changes side. So yeah. Augments, there's a lot of augments, so I'm not going to go through every single one, but just going to talk about the big ones. Dumbify, huge buff needed. Pretty sure this one sucks. And it's probably... Honestly, it's probably takeable now, especially if you get like a good setup with a lot of like sentinels or bruisers and stuff that can give it a lot of stats. Lone Hero disabled. Finally, it's gone. I mean, I think this is absolutely necessary. Like, if I fully expect this to come back, by the way. Oh yeah, and it's just bruisers, by the way. I've never taken Dumbify this set, but don't try to take it with Sentinels. It only takes their HP. I'm sorry, I've never taken Dumbify this set. I'll admit to it. This is Blade Dance that I'm covering up with my head, by the way. But yeah, I fully expect this to come back next patch when they can actually make it so Lux gets mana locked during her shielding, but they can't do that with this patch. It's almost like a B patch. I don't know if I said that already because I've been through so many versions of the video. Gold augments, Arcane Retribution disabled. Thank you. I don't know why this augment was in the game. This is the Sorcerer's one that makes them explode. And then buffs to a lot of stuff that I think is necessary. Contested disabled, I guess because it was just too strong. I'm actually sad about that because this is a really cool augment, but I guess because it was too strong. But yeah, and then good nerfs to all this other nerfs and buffs to the stuff that needs it. More gold augments. Too much value. This is paint the town blue. This is kind of an interesting Warpath buff where you get one less 5 cost, but you get another full completed item. Warpath's a fun augment, so I'm down. I'll bring myself down here actually, because it's, or maybe up here actually, next to Papa Mort. How's it going, Mr. Mort Dog? But yeah, oh wait, no, this is, oh. So what's the too much value change, actually? Let me pull up the patch notes, because I'm actually curious if they changed that augment, because it does kind of suck. Too much value. 2 costs granted. Oh, from 2 to 4. Okay, not bad. So a little bit more just econ from that. You know, honestly, is too much value takeable now? It grants 4 2 costs when you take it now, so that already loads up your ability to get 2 rerolls per round. I'm taking 2 costs. I'm taking too much value next patch. I'm hyped for that. All right, Prismatico is a big one. Well, a few big ones. Exalted Adventure now only giving 3 dupes instead of a dupe every stage. Big hit to it, but it's a broken augment, so I think this makes sense. Artifactory disabled, just because they said basically too many artifacts is too fun for the game, which fair enough. Dark Alley Dealings disabled as well. Why? They're nerfing Trenchcoat so hard. I'm kind of surprised they're nerfing Dark Alley Dealings. Or are they getting rid of it? I'm not sure why, actually. Did he say
a single augment that says, here's 10 artifacts for this. Good it is. Chaos, what? And right now it's light nerf. Build-A-Bud, 2 more gold, minor buff. Calculated enhancement, 5 more AD, 10 more AP. Should make this better. Dark Alley Dealings, same thing as Artifactory. We just don't need that many artifacts. It's going to...
Huh? It gives 2. What? It's the same. The Ornn one gives way more. I don't understand this change, but okay. I don't think it's... I'm not upset that it's out of the game, but whatever. Expect Unexpectedness buff, I think, is pretty good. This one felt pretty underwhelming as well, and I think the other ones are good. Okay, Flurry of Blows buff, nice. Ghost of Eunice Pass, nice. I don't think that's what this is. Friends Pass, right? Is what's called, but okay. Subservice, good. Great changes across the board, actually. Let's go into Anomalies. I mean, and once again, I don't want to go into every single one of these, but big ones are where are the big ones? Nothing Wasted is 70 to 50% big nerf, but I mean, so strong that it's probably still fine. And then Ultimate Hero takes another turn to upgrade, also a big nerf, but also quite reasonable. I think somebody said Mini-Me's Twitch carry or something like that. I don't know. Somebody try it out because Twitch is getting buffed. Mini-Me's is getting pretty significantly buffed. I think they said Mini-Me's Twitch carry. I think that's what I saw a tweet about. I don't know. I would at least try it for sure. Seems interesting. Outside of that, do I think any of these will be like super secret OP after this? Or actually, maybe it was Wolf Familiars. I mean, maybe it's both. Who knows? Maybe Wolf Familiars. Actually, I think someone was saying Wolf Familiars now that I think about it, but maybe Mini-Me's as well. Who knows? All right, that is it for the patch. A few bug fixes. Yeah, I mean, none of these matter. All right, new patch, new me, maybe new comps. Probably nothing crazy. We're getting far enough in the set. There won't be anything crazy, but excited for the patch. Looks like a step in the right direction. This last patch was honestly fantastic, so I'm excited to just see more of this with hopefully some small changes. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch. I'll make the links down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.